Hey everybody, it's Jasmine here today with Black Flower Co Pro because we are going to be crafting. I've gotten a lot of requests for this one, so I thought I'd go ahead and just do it. Why not? Here we go. It's going to be for my Watermelon Aloe Sugar Scrub. Watermelon aloe. Yeah, you see? It's nice and textured right here. It smells sweet like watermelon. It has a lot of skin softening properties, and it's going to hydrate your skin. It's not going to leave your skin feeling dry or stripped after you get done washing it. This is what was a very, very popular one of mine. So I'm going to go ahead and show you guys my exact procedure. If you would like the exact formula with the exact measurements and everything that I do for this specific scrub, you can head over to blackflowerco.com. It's available for purchase for just $10, and then that way when you watch this video you'll know exactly how much of what I put into what. But this video that you're watching is 100% free. Everybody gets to see it. Just if you want the special sauce that I put on it, then gotta support blackflowerco.com. Here we go. For those of you wondering, yes, this is an emulsified sugar scrub. So you're gonna have a double boiler, kind of like how I have set up here. I have it on highest setting to make sure that all of the waxes we're gonna be using melts. And essentially you wanna have this getting ready while you're preparing the ingredients. So make sure that whenever, that I would do this first, get this set up. You can use your stove. I recommend double boiling over microwaving because it doesn't kill any of the properties in your items. I know we're processing it anyway, but I just prefer to do it this way. And if you don't have a microwave, then go ahead and do this. But you fill any old pot and pan that you don't use for food, you fill it with water, you get it boiling, and then whenever you have your ingredients ready, you're going to be using like a Pyrex type of glass or some sort of metal bowl, okay, to make sure that it doesn't break while it's heating, because glass can be very sensitive, and the same thing with plastic. It can melt and make a bigger mess than you want to have. So set this to the side and get this ready while we start preparing our ingredients. I personally always like to prepare the ingredients first that are going to be melting, because those are going to kind of require a little bit of time while we can go ahead and prep the other ingredients. So I'll go ahead and show you what we're going to be using this time around and how I measure everything. So first and foremost, let me introduce you to my scale. Now there are two types of scales. This one is good for measuring like a larger amount of ounces whenever you're going to be making any sort of batch. So I like to use this one when I measure bigger batches. And then this right here is this is like my gram scale. They call it a jewelry scale. And whenever you're measuring essential oils or powders or anything that's really light that your bigger scale won't detect, this is a food grade one, but this is a jewelry one. You're gonna wanna use your jewelry scale and make sure you calibrate it to whatever measurements you're using. I will be needing this in a minute, but not until the very end. So let's talk about what we're gonna be melting down first. First and foremost, I like to use an emulsifier called Olive M1000 for the face. Just like in the name, it's derived from olive. It's very good for sensitive types of skin, and it doesn't leave a waxy residue on your skin. And so we didn't need an emulsifier here because we're going to be combining water, our soap essentially, and our oils, and we want them to stay together and stay stabilized. So we need an emulsifier to do that. Otherwise, separation will occur and your scrub won't be super stable. You don't need, I won't say it's 100% necessary, but if you're selling, if you're a formulator, you're definitely going to want to have it. It's going to be very helpful. So let's go ahead and add. Now, as I stated before, if you would like exact measurements on to get this specific formula I'm making, which is going to be up to 10 ounces today, you want to go ahead and head over to blackflowerco.com and you can get this exact recipe. So I don't know if you saw, but when I say calibrate your scale, I turn it on. I make sure I have it set to 0 after I put on the bowl, because otherwise it'll pick up the measurement of your bowl. Just a little tip. So I'm adding in my Olive M1000 here. And these are all going to be ingredients that are melting in together. Okay. The next ingredient I'm going to add is going to be our cast iron soap. I like to use a liquid one. You can use any brand. It's up to you, but these are vegan. This is unscented, so it's like technically considered the baby one. And soap really helps to give it a good cleansing factor. And so basically, you won't have oils on your skin. It'll feel nice and clean. Okay. And then last but not least, I absolutely highly recommend adding a humectant because it adds to the hydrating properties. I like to use vegetable glycerin. It adds to the hydrating properties of your scrub. So it absorbs into the skin really, really well. I love adding humectants for skin. So a humectant can be honey, vegetable glycerin, and there's a few other ones that have a little bit more types of chemical names. So I don't quite remember them as of right now. So we went ahead and got our ingredients ready to melt. I'm going to go ahead and move this over to our double boiler as we spoke about earlier. So now that we have that done, I'm going to go ahead and get ready to prepare our oils that we're going to be using. For this recipe, I like to use aloe vera oil. Aloe vera oil is very soothing. It absorbs really well into the skin. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and add in our essential oils that we're going to use, essential oils and fragrance oils. So I recently learned the hard way that some of these companies will market themselves as essential oils when they indeed are not. Yeah, that kind of sucks. I still like this brand, but they say essential oils, but they really are not. So this one says, it's called Rainbow Abbey. You can get them on Amazon. I don't know how much it's clearing up, but Rainbow Abbey, it says essential oils, it says pure plant oils, but I'm pretty sure that they indeed are not. So I'm going to calibrate this to get as much of the fragrance as we need. Let's see. Okay. So it's currently on ounces, which is what I like. I like to have all of my I like to have all of them the same because that makes it easier whenever you're making your recipes or whatever it is that you're doing. Oops, that's strawberry. I'm going to use watermelon fragrance oil. And then for this one, I also like to use grapefruit essential oil. It kind of helps to carry the scent of the watermelon a little bit better. It complements it well. And I just like to use a very small amount. You don't need a lot because you still want the watermelon smell to be dominant. And then last but not least, just to give it kind of a soft tone, I'm going to add in a little bit of rose fragrance. And you can use rose essential oil as well, but I just particularly like the way that this smells. And there are, and I've learned this journey too, that people ideally tend to think that fragrance oils are all bad. They can get a generally pretty bad rep because of the fact that they, some of them can be processed in a way that requires there to be chemicals included, like toxic chemicals for the body. But there's also a good, I found a good array of brands that are clean, that don't use any sort of petroleum oil or anything that would be toxic to the body to cut these kinds of fragrances. I'm stirring it around just so you guys can see. And the key is also to make sure that each fragrance oil generally actually tends to have an amount that you would use for safety. So always go with those recommendations that your manufacturer should give you. And it just varies on which brand you choose to go with. But you can effectively use clean fragrance oils so that you're still not just getting a whole bunch of chemicals. Toxic chemicals, I should say, because everything is chemicals. Even we as human beings are chemicals. I'm sure most of you know this. Okay, and then, so this is where we're at with the butters and waxes. You can kind of stir it along because the heat is still going from this. So you can kind of stir it along to help it go a little bit faster. And it may just finish melting the rest of the pieces because the bowl is still hot, so it's still heating these up. But just to make sure, even though this is a scrub already, you generally want to make sure that your ingredients are thoroughly melted, the ones that are being melted, because that way you can really get a clear formula that is what it's supposed to be, especially when you're making butters. Okay, so we're going to stick this back in our double boiler for a minute and just let that finish heating up. Alrighty, so it's been a few minutes and let's see where our melted oils and things are at right now. Ooh, okay. It looks kind of jelly and wiggly, but as you can see, everything is melted down. You don't want to waste too much time here in this phase. I'm going to go ahead and add in our sugar. You always want to make sure that the amount of sugar that you add in is pretty decent. Okay. There are a whole bunch of different kind of what we call exfoliants. Sugar, basically, it needs to be extremely fine ground, but this isn't, the white sugar that we're going to use today isn't ideal for all skin types. For very sensitive skin, I'd recommend brown sugar and jojoba beads, which we are also going to be using today. Let's see, sorry guys, my scale is a little bit thrown off, so. Here we go. You want to add in a nice fat amount of sugar. And this is also where you would add in your mica for color. You always want to make sure that your micas are cosmetic grade so they can be safe for skin. And I don't usually have exact measurements for mica outside of like maybe a tablespoon or half a tablespoon. A little bit really goes a long way. Okay, that's plenty. So we're gonna go ahead and just give this a quick stir in. Okay, and this should thicken up pretty nicely. And we're going to be using jojoba beads. Okay. These can come in black, whites, and lots of different colors. And jojoba beads are a very gentle type of exfoliant as well, but I like these because it kind of gives it that look of black seeds. And you can add in whatever is more aesthetically pleasing to you. You mix them in. See, it gives it those, it looks like little black seeds. Which is pretty cool. Okay, and now that it's in its cooling phase, we've mixed it. It's gonna be thickening up a little bit. We're gonna go ahead and add in our oils last. This isn't gonna have as much sugar as, say, like a brown sugar honey scrub or anything like that would have, because this is using white sugar. So this is definitely going to be gentler on the skin, okay? You're going to give it a really good mix in with your spoon. You can use electric mixers as well. So what we're going to do now is we're going to set this aside to cool a little bit more before we add in our final ingredient, which is going to be called Optifin. And you basically measure that by the total amount of product that you have in weight, whatever you're using, grams, ounces. Let me get the Optifin really quick. Mine is a little bit messed up, but generally the range, your manufacturer will always tell you what range to put it in. Optifin, this is Optifin Plus. It's a great gentle preservative that can be used in all kinds of products. It's very delicate for the skin. And it says here that between 0.75 to 1.5 for the skin. I really like to use 1% of my total formula. So it should not be warm at all to the touch whenever you add in your Optifin, because when you're adding in any preservative, the heat can destroy the properties that help it to keep out mold. Okay, so I'm going to turn on my scale. I'm going to measure the amount of Optifin that I need for this specific recipe. And then that'll be the finishing touch. And then there we have it. Even though this is a sugar scrub, this is still a very gentle exfoliant for the face. This doesn't feel harsh at all or drying whenever you use it on your skin, and it smells absolutely delicious. So there you have it, guys. We made our Watermelon Aloe Sugar Scrub. It's thickening beautifully. It's a little bit runny. This is going to feel great on the skin, okay? I always say that I love my products. Like, I love this for the skin, I love that for the skin, but all of them really just have amazing different values that you use. And it's so cute because, like I said, it has those little beads in there, so those jojoba beads, so it looks like they're really the watermelon seeds. I think that that's just so aesthetically pleasing. And especially it's going to be for your customers too. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you'd like any more information on preservatives and emulsifiers and what kind to use for this, that, and the other, I'm going to be making a separate video of that. I'm going to tell you basically what I know about them and which ones I like to choose, because you know, not all of them are specifically gentle or paraben free or what do they call it, formaldehyde free and things like that. And I still, even though I'm using a little bit, I'm branching out, I'm using a little bit more additives than I would have before. These are really necessary for safety when it comes to making products. So if you see this and you try it out, let me know how this goes for whatever scrub you're going to use it for. If you want that recipe, don't forget, you can get them from me. I'll go ahead and it's blackflowerco.com. And that's going to be up today, that you guys can purchase it just for $10. So I know I said it like a few times in this video, but I just want you to know that you can have this exact recipe and own it. All right. So thank you guys for tuning in. I hope that this video was very informative, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.